Most people think confidence comes from speaking up. The Stoics believed the opposite. Real confidence begins when you stop reacting. The moment something provokes you and you don't move internally, power shifts, not to the other person, to you. Look closely at people who react quickly. They explain too much. They defend themselves. They rush to be understood. That is not confidence. That is leakage. Stoics knew this thousands of years ago. Anything that can provoke you can control you. And control is the opposite of confidence. Here is the uncomfortable truth. If words can shake you, you are not confident. If disrespect can trigger you, you are not confident. If silence makes you anxious, you are not confident. You are emotionally exposed. Stoic confidence is dangerous because it does not announce itself. It does not argue. It does not threaten. It does not explain. It observes. And observation without reaction terrifies emotional people. Most people believe reacting shows strength. Stoics understood that reaction is evidence of inner disturbance. Why respond instantly unless something touched you? And why allow anything external that level of access? Here is the first Stoic rule that rewires confidence completely. If it doesn't require action, it doesn't deserve reaction. Read that again. Reaction is not automatic. It is a choice. And confident people are selective. This is why Stoics trained silence. Silence is not weakness. Silence is pressure. When you don't react, the other person is forced to sit with their own words, their own aggression, their own insecurity, and that usually breaks them faster than any reply ever could. Notice something important. The most dangerous people in any room are never the loudest. They are the calmest. The ones who listen more than they speak. The ones who pause before responding. The ones who don't rush to correct. That pause is not confusion. That pause is control. Stoics didn't suppress emotion. They delayed response. And delay creates space. Space creates clarity. Clarity creates confidence. Here is where most people fail. They think reacting will protect their image. In reality, reacting exposes it. Calm protects image. Silence protects authority. Stoics chose authority. Once you understand this, something inside you shifts. You stop asking, "What should I say?" You start asking, "Is this worth my energy?" That question alone filters 90% of unnecessary conflict. Stoic confidence is not about dominance. It's about non-availability. You are not emotionally available for nonsense. You are not mentally available for provocation. You are not internally available for chaos. And when people sense that, they behave differently around you. They speak more carefully. They test less. They hesitate because they can't read you. And what can't be read can't be controlled. This is the foundation. Not reacting does not make you passive. It makes you untouchable. If this already feels uncomfortable, good. That discomfort means you're seeing how much power you've been giving away. And once you see that, you don't want it back. At a deeper level, reacting is not a habit. It is a confession. A confession that something outside you has entered your inner space without permission. Stoics found this unacceptable. Most people think confidence is loud. Stoics understood that loudness is often a disguise for fear. Fear of being ignored, fear of being disrespected, fear of losing control. That fear pushes people to react. Stoics removed the fear first. Here is a reality that separates the dangerous from the weak. If you react emotionally, you are playing on someone else's timing. They provoked. You followed. That is not power. That is obedience. Stoics trained themselves to pause, not because they were unsure, but because the pause reveals everything. In that pause, you can see, is this person seeking dominance? Are they projecting insecurity? Are they fishing for reaction? Most attacks collapse when they are not fed. People who react quickly give away their emotional blueprint. They show what hurts them. They show what matters to them. They show where they are vulnerable. Stoics hid nothing, but they revealed nothing unnecessarily. That is the difference. Here is the next Stoic rule that sharpens confidence. Never react in the same emotional frequency you are attacked with. Anger wants anger. Sarcasm wants sarcasm. Disrespect wants retaliation. Stoics broke the loop. They answered heat with calm, and calm destabilizes emotional people. You have probably seen this before. Someone insults another person. The other person reacts angrily. The room turns chaotic. Now imagine the opposite. The insult lands, and nothing happens. No facial change, no verbal defense, no shift in energy. Suddenly the attacker looks foolish. That is Stoic confidence in action. Here is why this works psychologically. Emotional people expect resistance. When resistance doesn't come, they are forced to confront themselves. And most people cannot sit comfortably with their own aggression. Silence becomes a mirror. Stoics understood another brutal truth. Respect is not demanded. It is enforced by consistency. If people know you don't react, they stop testing. If they stop testing, they start adjusting. Not consciously, instinctively. This is where confidence becomes dangerous. You don't need to threaten. You don't need to assert dominance. You don't need to explain boundaries. Your lack of reaction is the boundary. Most people talk about being unbothered. Stoics practiced it, and practice changes the nervous system. The first time you don't react, it feels uncomfortable. The second time, it feels controlled. Eventually, it feels natural. Here is something most people don't realize. Reacting drains energy. Not reacting conserves it. That conserved energy turns into presence. Presence turns into authority. Authority turns into confidence. Stoics didn't waste energy on words that changed nothing. They asked a simple internal question. Does this require action or restraint? If action was needed, they acted decisively. If not, they remained still. That balance is rare, and rarity creates power. At this stage, people start to misread you. They say, "You're cold. You don't care. You're distant." They are wrong. You care. You just don't leak. And leaking is what makes people predictable. Predictable people are easy to manipulate. Stoics aim to be unreadable, not deceptive. Unreadable, because what cannot be read cannot be controlled. Slowly, something shifts inside you. You stop feeling the urge to correct people, to defend yourself, to win every exchange. You realize something freeing. You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. This is where confidence stops being performance. It becomes posture. You carry yourself differently, not intentionally, naturally. If this feels heavy, good. Heavy ideas create strong minds, and strong minds don't react, they choose. At this point, confidence stops being something you show. It becomes something others feel. You walk into a situation, and without saying a word, the energy shifts. Not because you are intimidating, but because you are unmoved. Most people live in reaction loops. Someone speaks, they respond. Someone provokes, they defend. Someone ignores, they chase. Stoics stepped outside this loop, and the moment you step outside it, you gain leverage. Because leverage comes from asymmetry. They react, you don't. Here is a truth that separates ordinary calm from dangerously confident calm. Confidence is not about control over others. It is about control over access. Access to your emotions. Access to your attention, access to your inner state. Stoics lock these doors, not with walls, with discipline. When someone insults you, they are testing one thing: can I move you? The insult itself is irrelevant. What matters is your response. If you react, they learn where your buttons are. If you don't, they feel exposed. This is why Stoic non-reaction feels unsettling. It breaks social expectations. People expect anger for anger, defense for attack, emotion for emotion. When none comes, their script collapses. Here is another Stoic rule that hardens confidence. Never rush to clarify your intentions. Weak confidence explains itself. Strong confidence lets misunderstanding exist. Because misunderstanding does not harm you unless you chase correction. Stoics allowed people to be wrong about them. They didn't fear false judgment, only inner disorder. At this level, silence becomes strategic, not manipulative, strategic. Silence allows others to reveal their impatience, their insecurity, their need for dominance. The more they talk, the clearer they become. The quieter you remain, the stronger you appear. You start noticing something strange. People talk at you less. They interrupt you less. They hesitate more. Not because you demanded respect, but because your stillness forces them to regulate themselves. Here is the uncomfortable reality. Most people are addicted to reaction. They provoke to feel powerful. When you don't react, you deprive them of that power, and deprivation is destabilizing. Stoics understood this deeply. They knew The fastest way to win a power game is to not play emotionally. They played on a different level: principle, timing, restraint. You also stop reacting internally. This is important. Non-reaction is not just external silence, it is internal stillness. No replaying conversations, no imaginary arguments, no delayed anger. If you still react inside, you are not free yet. Stoics trained the inner response first. This is where confidence becomes dangerous. Because now, even when you are alone, nothing disturbs you. No comments, no memories, no imagined insults. The mind stays quiet, and a quiet mind cannot be manipulated. People often ask, how do you stay so calm? Stoics never answered. Because explaining power dilutes it. They let results speak. At this stage, you stop reacting even to praise. This matters. Praise can control people just as much as insult. Stoics treated both the same. Neutral information, nothing more. Here is the final internal shift before full mastery. You stop seeking emotional highs. Highs create lows. Stoics chose stability over excitement, and stability beats excitement in every long-term game. You don't feel numb, you feel grounded. You don't feel detached, you feel centered, and center is where confidence lives. This is why Stoics appeared dangerous, not violent, not aggressive. Dangerous because they could not be pulled, not by fear, not by anger, not by approval. If you followed this fully, you should notice something right now. Your urge to respond is weaker. Your need to prove is fading. That is not weakness. That is control returning. At the final stage, something irreversible happens. You no longer try to stay calm. Calm becomes your default state. Reaction feels unnatural now, almost childish. And that is when confidence becomes dangerous. You realize something most people never do. Nothing outside you is urgent enough to deserve instant emotional access. Not disrespect, not criticism, not rejection, not praise. Urgency is a trap. Stoics stepped out of it completely. Here is the final Stoic law that seals everything. What you respond to, you submit to. Think about that carefully. Every reaction is a form of agreement. Agreement to play, agreement to engage, agreement to give energy. Stoics refused silent agreements. They chose sovereignty. At this level, insults feel empty, not because you are superior, but because you understand the source. Emotionally reactive people are always fighting something inside themselves. You don't need to fight them. You let them exhaust themselves. Silence now becomes effortless, not forced, not dramatic, effortless. You don't count seconds. You don't hold back. There is simply nothing to release. This is where confidence becomes terrifying to others, because they can't locate it. You don't dominate conversations. You don't seek approval. You don't correct every wrong assumption. You let reality unfold, and people sense that. At this point, manipulation stops working on you. Guilt doesn't hook you. Anger doesn't provoke you. Praise doesn't inflate you. Your emotional range becomes flat but deep, stable, reliable, unmovable. Most people mistake this for coldness. It isn't. Coldness avoids emotion. Stoic calm contains emotion. Nothing spills, nothing leaks. Now notice the final shift. You stop reacting even in your mind. No replaying conversations, no imaginary responses, no delayed anger. The moment passes, and it stays past. This is real freedom. When this happens, confidence is no longer visible. It is felt. People adjust their tone around you. They hesitate before testing you. They choose words more carefully, not because you demanded it, but because your stillness demands it. You also stop seeking victory. Victory requires opposition. You don't need opposition anymore. You move through situations cleanly. No residue, no emotional debt. This is why Stoics were misunderstood. People thought they lacked emotion. In reality, they mastered it. They knew a man who cannot be provoked cannot be controlled, and a man who cannot be controlled is the most confident man in any room. At this stage, confidence stops being psychological. It becomes physiological. Your nervous system stays calm under pressure. Your breath stays steady. Your posture stays open. The body obeys the mind. This is why react to nothing is not advice. It is a discipline, a way of being. If you've truly absorbed this, you should feel something now. Not excitement, not motivation, but quiet strength. That quiet strength is Stoic confidence locking into place. You no longer need to prove yourself. You no longer need to respond. You no longer need to be understood. You are enough in your stillness. This is not silence born from fear. This is silence born from power. And once you reach it, there is no going back.